Pest infestation? Call Bugman, because when you see red, bugs are dead.
All right, it is Monday, the 27th of October, Halloween week. Halloween is on Friday, so if you're sending the kiddos out or you're handing candy out, be careful. Don't run over the kiddos on Friday. This is kind of a recap from last week. I was going to do it on Sunday. I was going to do it yesterday, but I didn't because of all the news coming out with the polls and stuff don't drop till about 2 o'clock on Sunday, and then in between that time, the Brian Kelly firing happened. So I thought, well, let's give a little bit of time here and let's see where the pieces fall as we come into today. So that's the reason I'm doing it today. We'll do our normal where we were right, where we were wrong, and then of course we'll start right now with Roanoke College. If you've been listening, Roanoke College played this week. They played Hampton-Sydney. If you listened last week, I said this was going to be a very difficult game, and it did turn out to be a very difficult game. They lost, but again, I think Hampton-Sydney's pretty good. So I don't think Roanoke should get their heads down. They come back. I think they have Guilford this week. That's probably winnable. I think that's winnable. Then they have William and Mary, and then they have Averett at the end, which I also think is winnable. So, I think they're going to come out of this season. They're probably going to come out about 5th in the ODAC, and they might tell you different, but I think if you told them at the beginning of the year that they'd come in 4th or 5th in the ODAC, that they might be, when I say them, I'm talking about the coaches and everything. If they really, really, truly thought about it, I think they would be okay with that. So, nobody likes to lose, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, first-year program, they beat half the league, was competitive, with the big dog, with Randolph-Macon, and then just, ran into the rest of the league. I think depth is where depth, I think, takes a hit on a team that's new. So, all in all, I think they've done a pretty good job. Where we were right last week and where we were wrong. Let's start with where we were wrong, because it wasn't very good on the locks. The week before last, we were 3-0. This week, we were 1-3. So, we got to do better. Let's see. First of all, we were wrong with A&M. We took LSU plus the 2.5. I did not see that coming. I'm not sure that A&M is as good as that score was. Again, truth be known, I'm an A&M guy. We'll see. They've got a week off this week, a bye week, and then they go on the road again to Missouri. That's 3 straight road games that they'll be on in the SEC, and that normally does not happen in the SEC. So, this was a weird line. Another one, Washington State. I even said, going into this game, something didn't seem right. So it was either Vegas making you think that they were going to do something else, I think, with that line. Because, the line was 2, Washington State 2, and they killed them. They killed Toledo. So they got us on it. So Iowa State, we took Iowa State at home, and they were doing really well until they decided to throw 2 pick sixes. That didn't go well for them. UVA, we were wrong at UVA, and I said I was scared of that hook. That game, I even said it in the notes. If you looked on the YouTube page or if you looked on the Facebook page, but I even said, "Hey, this scares me," and that's a weird little rivalry. So we took UVA. We had the win, but they didn't win by 10.5. And then Syracuse, same thing. Syracuse, man, their quarterback, since they've made that change, he's been terrible, absolutely terrible. Where we were right, we took Boston College in the points. We got that right. We took the Hokies minus the 4.5. I had a lot of pushback on that, believe it or not, taking the Hokies. I don't know if anybody saw it Friday night. That was a Friday night game, but you got to give props to a team that does not have a coach. A lot of the players are either setting out or transferring or injured. And that was a very good turnout for a Friday night. Now, I will say they, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, the students left. And I know why. They were down. I get it. They wanted to go party, I guess. But, so I'll say this. In the beginning, it was a great thing to see on TV if you're a Hokie fan. It was the atmosphere that was really good. It really probably gave you some pride to see all those people showing up for a team that's not doing so great. But as soon as they got down, it was like run to the exits. And that's something you can't do. Like, if you're a fan, you got to hang around for a little bit. Now, if you get down by 25, 30 points, okay, go party. But your team came back and won. The same thing happened at LSU the other night. They got A&M got up on them big in the second half, and they disappeared. Honestly, I'll be honest, that LSU game, the reason they fired Brian Kelly was, I don't know if you watched it, but the whole fourth quarter, A&M basically took over that stadium because everybody left. So it was almost like people were like, nah, we're done, we're out of here, which I understand they were down, but the home team basically took over the stadium. So I think that was just a bad view. It put a bad taste in people's mouth down there at LSU and in the state of Louisiana. And I think that was a big tipping point where they fired him this week. If he would have went out there and said, hey, I'm letting the offensive coordinator go, we're going to be making some changes this week, or something like that. But those fans leaving and the other team taking over, that didn't go well. Auburn, we were right on Auburn. I told you it was going to be bad weather out there. One thing Auburn can do is they can run it 72 different ways. So I thought with all that bad weather, that would be a good thing. Ole Miss, we had Ole Miss getting points. Ole Miss won the game. So that's kind of where we were last week. It wasn't a great week, but I'll be honest. I said it week before last, and I've said it a couple times to a couple people I've talked to. The NFL is always very hard. It's always been very hard to bet on, and it's because of those injury reports. If somebody's might not be playing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when they're practicing. Well, now in conference, a lot of these conference guys, if you noticed, we did really well weeks 1, 2, and 3. We only lost like 5 games in those 3 weeks, or that we put out on the picks. Then it got into conference play, and man, those pencils got sharpened, because now you're not hearing inside information about somebody maybe not playing or being hurt or hamstring or whatever, because now they've got to be on some sort of injury report by ACC, somebody like that. You got to put it on the injury report. So where I'm going with this is not an excuse. We need to do better, but Vegas has definitely done better. In fact, I read something the other day that they had won Vegas between sports betting and gambling have like 4 months over $1 billion. The surplus. So it's crazy. It's crazy right now, with how Vegas and the books are winning. So they're gonna have to give up. They're gonna have to give up some money sooner or later, or people are gonna stop. Kind of looking ahead. If we're looking ahead to this week, then we'll get into like coaches and all that. If you're looking at this week, just early thoughts, I guess you could call them. JMU plays tomorrow night. They're a 7-point favorite right now against Texas State. Friday, you've got North Carolina at Syracuse. Wow, Syracuse is a 2-point favorite now. Saturday, you have Duke at Clemson. Clemson is a 3.5-point favorite. That's tough. That Duke, that's going to be a tough game. That'll be an interesting game. Penn State at Ohio State. Ohio State has jumped to 20.5. They're a 20.5-point favorite over Penn State. And mainly it's because Penn State's defense has done a pretty good job, but they've lost 4 in a row. But they can't throw the ball. I mean, they've not thrown last week I think they threw the ball for like 80 some yards. They're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to have to score some points. So 20.5 might not be enough. You got Vanderbilt at Texas. Texas is a 1.5-point favorite. I like Texas there. Look, Vandy's been a great story. Vandy's a good team. They're a really good team. I don't think they're as good as people think they are. I don't think they're worth that top 10. We'll see. This will be interesting. I mean, Texas is not great. Arch Manning right now is in concussion protocol this week, so we don't even know if he's going to play. So maybe that's why that line has dropped. It opened at 3.5. We'll see. I just think Texas's defense is going to be able to shut down Vandy. He's not going to be able to run around and do the stuff he did against Texas. I just don't think so. Miami at SMU this week. Miami's 11.5-point favorite. Seems like a lot. Coming off a loss, we'll see. Louisville is at Virginia Tech. That is a 3 o'clock game. Louisville's a 10.5-point favorite. We'll have to do a little bit more research. I don't know if I lean either way on that right off. Let's see, what else? Georgia at Florida. Georgia's a 7-point favorite. Yeah, I don't have anything there. UVA at Cal. UVA is a 4-point favorite going across the country. That's a little scary. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Arkansas minus 4.5. I probably would lean towards Mississippi State right now. I don't know that, usually a home team gets 3. I don't know where that extra 1.5 comes from. That'll be interesting to see. South Carolina at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 12.5-point favorite. I would be careful. We haven't done a lot of research because it's Monday, but I would be careful of what you saw last week with South Carolina. Then you'll just hop on getting those points. I would be careful there. Oklahoma at Tennessee. This is an elimination game. Well, Oklahoma's pretty much eliminated themselves anyway, but now they can kind of play spoiler. Tennessee at home is a 3-point favorite. And that's really about it. I mean, you got Cincinnati at Utah. Utah's an 8.5-point favorite, and Cincinnati's undefeated in the Big 12. So that'll be a big game for them. And we'll talk Georgia Tech is at NC State, a 5.5-point favorite. You're not going to see Georgia Tech a super big favorite anytime because they just junk up a game, So we'll get on that later in the week, and of course we'll have radio. We'll put the sheets up and everything, and we'll try to get back on the right track this week. Let's talk a little bit real quick about all these coaching changes. I made around here. Obviously, Virginia Tech's coaching open vacancy, if you will. Every time a big name comes out, Tech falls a little bit. And, I mean, that's not a bad thing. That's just where these programs are. When you have a Penn State, an LSU, and a Florida open up, man, they're going after big-time guys. Now, they might not – some of these other schools might not want those big-time names. So it could end up being a benefit for Virginia Tech. So, for example, James Franklin. He left Penn State. Well, we know he's not going back there, right? So that's not one you got to worry about. So the only two you got to worry about is Florida and LSU. And I don't know that he's top 3 on their totem pole. So if they go get the guy that they want, he's going to be available. He might be available for the Arkansas, Virginia Techs, Oklahoma States. Then again, he might say, you know what, now I'll sit out and see what comes open next year. I don't think you'll see Florida State open, even though I don't think you'll see Florida State open up with all these other big names, and I don't know that Auburn will. Auburn might, but yeah, I don't know. The question is, who's out of these jobs, what's number one? Man, that's a tough one. I would say LSU barely over Florida State. Over Florida, excuse me. I don't know that it's that big of a jump from LSU to Florida. I would definitely say LSU's 1, Florida's 2, Penn State's 3. I would have Arkansas probably 4, just because they're in the SEC and they're going to get a big name. I've heard some rumors about Jimbo, but we'll see. I think for some of the teams, maybe even Arkansas down or Tech down, wherever you have them placed, you might have to take. I know it's going to be hard for Virginia Tech to take somebody that hasn't had, that doesn't have head coaching experience. I know that's not what you want, but maybe you have to go that route with some of these guys. I think Joe Brady's name's going to be on the list. I know people are talking about it at Penn State, but he's an LSU guy. Remember, he was the offensive coordinator when they won the national championship under Orgeron, when they had Burrow and all those guys. So that might be a name there coming back if Lane Kiffin's not on there. I think Dan Lanning, the Oregon coach, is going to be on there. I think his name. I think he'll be high on the list just because of where he is, being back in the SEC. Remember, he was at Georgia with Kirby Smart. So we'll see. The good news is it's getting ready to be November 1st, and the end of the football season will be at the end of the month. So you've only got 4 weeks, and then people are going to start hiring. And the question is, if Lane Kiffin's going, he's going to have to go now. So he's going to have a contender. Is he going to quit on that contender? That's going to be the interesting part. If any of these guys leave that might be top 10 teams, possible playoff teams, do they leave in the middle of what is a championship run, possibly, and go to another team? That'll be interesting. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's all we have for this week. We'll get back with you later in the week. Talk to you. Heathens Kettle Corn and Mobile Grill. You can find them at Dr. Pepper Park, local Roanoke events, and also now doing fundraising with teams, organizations, churches, etc. Find them on Facebook, Heathens Kettle Corn and Mobile Grill.